The Nubian people have a long history in Sudan. I'm talking thousands of years. They've got a culture that's incredibly rich with traditions that have been around since ancient times. Now, in this series, we look at how borders are made and unmade by exploring the people who live in these regions. Let us head to the border between Sudan and Egypt, where the Nile River winds its way through the desert. We're going to talk about the Nubians. I will explore their ancient roots, their connection to each other, how they are tied to this region, and why it is important for them.
Ho, ho, ho!
But first, let me tell you a story. Long ago, before borders or maps, one Nubian tribe stood strong by the Nile, the Mayas. Now the story goes like this. The elders say the first leader of the Mayas tribe wasn't chosen for his strength, but for his wisdom. At a time when the Nile flooded fiercely and neighboring tribes fought for land, the Mayas gathered under a large acacia tree. They needed someone to guide them, not to rule them. Many were afraid, but one man stepped forward. He was humble, quiet, but always listening.
Ho, ho, ho!
His name was Ajay Dunner, which means the voice of the people in the old Mayas tongue. He didn't need a crown because everyone respected him. He knew every path through the desert, every rhythm of the river, and every story passed down through the fireside songs. When others spoke, he listened. When others commanded, he united. And so began his legacy. The legacy of a people, the legacy of a region. But what does it mean for a place to have a legacy? It's more than just the buildings that stand or the borders that divide it.
Ho, ho, ho!
It's the stories that echo through time, the culture that beats like a drum in our veins, and the spirit that flows like the Nile River. In this episode, I want to show you how the legacy of the Nubian people lives on in those who call this area home. When you think of ancient civilizations along the Nile, names like Egypt and the pharaohs might come to mind. But did you know that the Nubian people have deep roots here too? The Nubians have been around for thousands of years. We're talking from the days when pyramids were built and pharaohs ruled the land.
Ho, ho, ho!
They lived in what is now northern Sudan and southern Egypt. In fact, there's this really cool kingdom called Kush that had its capital at a place called Meroe. This was way back in the 4th century BC. Meroe was a big deal. The kingdom of Kush was all about trade. They dealt in gold, ivory, and exotic animals, things that folks in other lands really wanted. They also had a love for building pyramids. They constructed over 200 of them, even more than Egypt. Some of these pyramids were massive, reaching heights of over 275 feet.
Ho, ho, ho!
Here's the thing, though. As time went on, the Egyptians took an interest in these lands. They started to expand southward. So instead of fighting, the Kushite king decided to play it smart. He let his son marry the Egyptian princess. That way, if the Egyptians ever tried to cause trouble, they'd be related. Now, this turned out to be a great strategy. For years, they got along pretty well. But then, things changed. The Egyptians started bossing the Nubians around. They weren't happy about it, so they packed their bags and moved south.
Ho, ho, ho!
Nubia became a bunch of small kingdoms and chiefdoms. Each one was like a small kingdom with its own ruler. They were independent and free. Even when Egypt went through some ups and downs with different rulers and foreign folks trying to take over, Nubia kept doing its thing. But here's another twist. In the year 590, the kingdom of Aksum came into the picture. They were based in present-day Ethiopia and Eritrea. The kingdom of Aksum was like a big brother to the Nubians. They helped protect Nubia against those who wanted to cause trouble.
Ho, ho, ho!
Under the kingdom of Aksum, Nubia thrived. It was like a golden age. Trade flourished and people felt safe. Then in the year 700, something amazing happened. The Nubians did something bold. They united, forming a powerful kingdom known as Makuria. They also created a unique language called NOBIAN. It was a mix of Arabic and ancient Nubian languages. Fast forward to the year 1300. Things got a bit shaky. The kingdom split into three parts. There was Makuria in the north, Sennar in the center, and Alodia in the south. These three kingdoms were kind of like siblings.
Ho, ho, ho!
They shared a lot, but they also had their own unique styles. Now let's travel to the year 1500. The Ottoman Turks entered the scene. They brought with them the Islamic faith. Many Nubians embraced Islam, but it was mostly peaceful. They sort of adopted the new religion into their existing beliefs. It wasn't like they ditched what they had before for something new. However, in 1821, Muhammad Ali, who was the ruler of Egypt, set his sights on conquering Sudan, including the Nubian lands.
Ho, ho, ho!
The Egyptians aimed to expand their control and influence into Nubia, which led to conflicts with the local rulers. They wanted to put an end to the independence of the Nubian kingdoms. As the 1800s rolled on, things got tough for the Nubians. First, the Egyptians showed up and told them to pay some hefty taxes. Then the British joined in on the action. By 1899, they divided the Nubian lands between Anglo-Egyptian Sudan and British colonial rule. The Nubians found themselves caught in the middle.
Ho, ho, ho!
In the early 1900s, the British had this crazy idea. They wanted to build a railroad through Nubia. They offered the Nubians a deal. If they helped build the railway, they'd get some fancy schools and hospitals. But let's be real, it was more like a trick to get free labor. During the construction, many Nubians lost their lives. And then came the Second World War. Thousands of Nubians from Sudan joined the British Army serving in places like East Africa. They hoped that after the war, things would get better.
Ho, ho, ho!
But guess what? It was all downhill from there. The British and Egyptians worked together to rule Sudan. They set up borders that split up Nubian communities. Also, the British were all about that colonial life. They thought they were superior and tried to force the Nubians to act and look like them. Now, despite all these challenges, the Nubian people have shown incredible strength and unity. They've held onto their traditions, their culture, and their identity. Today, they continue to be an integral part of the region, and their contributions continue to shape Sudan.
Ho, ho, ho!
So remember the story of Ajah Dunner, the humble man who rose to become the leader of the Maize tribe. His story tells us that strength doesn't always come from weapons or titles, but from wisdom, unity, and a deep connection to your people. The legacy of Ajah Dunner is a guiding light for the Nubian people. The Nubians have a rich culture and heritage. Their music is a blend of traditional African rhythms and Arabic influences, reflecting their historical connections and cultural exchanges.
Ho, ho, ho!
Nubian music often features instruments like the tar, a one-stringed instrument, and the durbek, a hand drum played by women. Nubian crafts are renowned for their beauty and functionality. Women traditionally wear distinctive clothing, including long white shirts, colorful headscarves, and full skirts adorned with intricate embroidery and patterns. Men typically wear a white shirt with a sash around the waist and a woven cotton kilt. And let's not forget about food. Nubian cuisine is a delicious fusion of flavors.
Ho, ho, ho!
It incorporates ingredients like millet, sorghum, okra, and fish from the Nile River. Traditional dishes include fulmadanes, a hearty stew of fava beans, and tasty, a flavorful catfish dish cooked in its own juices. It's important to understand how the environment has shaped the Nubian people and their culture. The Nile River is the lifeline of the region, providing water for drinking, farming, and transportation. The fertile land along the river banks allowed for the growth of crops such as wheat, barley, and flax.
Ho, ho, ho!
This agricultural abundance supported larger settlements and the development of trade networks. The hot climate of Nubia influenced the Nubian way of life. People built houses with thick walls to keep cool and developed a culture that valued shade and respite during the hottest hours of the day. As we wrap up our exploration of the Nubian people, let's reflect on their resilience and adaptability in the face of changing times. The Nubians have shown remarkable strength in preserving their cultural identity despite various challenges.
Ho, ho, ho!
Their rich traditions, music, crafts, and cuisine continue to thrive. Understanding the Nubians and their deep connection to the land sheds light on the complexities of the region. Their story reminds us of the importance of respecting cultural diversity and recognizing the contributions of indigenous peoples. Let's continue to learn about and appreciate the Nubian people and their vibrant culture. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. Don't forget to stay tuned for more captivating episodes.
Ho, ho, ho!
Together, let us continue to explore our world and expand our understanding of the fascinating cultures that enrich our planet.
Ho, ho, ho!